Hello, this is Krystal, and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from the beginning of The Library of Borrowed Hearts by Lucy Gilmore. Chapter 1, Chloe. I found the book hidden behind a box of rusted plumbing parts. The faded green cloth cover had been eaten away by damp and mites. The binding was loose and the corners broken. To all outward appearances, the thing belonged in the nearest dumpster, if not a hazmat facility 3 layers of yellow rubber deep. Naturally, I kept it. So far, it was the only book I planned on rescuing from the basement storeroom, where I'd spent the better part of the past week, clearing out what my boss called the unwanted masses. For decades, the Colville Public Library had been storing stacks of old and outdated books down in these subterranean hallways. Although many of them went on to good homes in one of the library's monthly book sales cum purges, the piles had been growing higher and higher as the years progressed. People just didn't hoard books like they used to. They especially didn't hoard books that had long since passed their sell-by date. The more fools they. I felt almost giddy as I ran my hands over the cover of the book, my fingers tracing the embossed title. Even though I wasn't technically a librarian here, you needed a degree for that, I was an employee, and a dang good one at that. Some days, I functioned as janitorial staff. Others, I filled in at the checkout counter. This week, my sole responsibility was to do the thing that no one else had the stomach to do. Say goodbye to the past 50 years. Goodbye to the dog-eared romance novels boasting the faded flowing locks of Fabio. Goodbye to the poorly aged self-help guides full of body-shaming advice. Goodbye to cookbooks that were way more obsessed with aspic and gelatins than the modern-day digestive system could handle. I was good at the task, too. I'd always excelled at doing the dirty deeds no one else wanted to tackle. If I lived in a big glamorous city or had ties to the high-powered political world, I might be known as a fixer. As it was, living in a town with a population of 5,000 residents, an hour's drive south of Canada, deep in the forests of Washington state, I was, what exactly? A cleaning woman? A general factotum? A drudge who had to do what she was told or risk losing the closest thing to a bookish job she'd ever get? Okay, maybe that last one was a touch dramatic, but my back hurt from hauling all these stupid boxes up and down the stairs. Also, there were cobwebs in my hair, and so many paper cuts that my fingers looked like they just escaped a miniature slasher flick. Drama was the only thing keeping me going. I have no money, no resources, no hopes, I read aloud as I lifted the book's cover and scanned the first lines. I am the happiest man alive. I knew what would happen if I kept turning the pages. Despite the fact that I was little more than a drudge in my small Washington town, or more likely, because of it, most of my free time was spent deep in the pages of a book. Unless you were super into hunting or fishing, there wasn't much else to do around here. I worked and I took care of my family. I did the things no one else wanted to do. And I read. Always, I read. Which was why I chuckled and tucked the book in my tote bag where no one would accidentally stumble across it. Tropic of Cancer wasn't the sort of novel you wanted to keep lying around the break room, especially a break room like ours, where the fridge sat stuffed with homemade meals in Tupperware containers, and the community billboard was tacked with colorful reminders about prayer meetings. If one of my coworkers were to pop the book open and start counting the number of times the words prick or rosebush or, literary censors, appeared, I'd probably be charged with assault with intent to kill. And if you would like to know what happens next, you can check this book out in the Libby app. Please join me here next week as I read from the beginning of First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. Thank you and have a great week.